Now, Louise just alluded to it, Samara, but a bit more this week on the attempts to mend the royal rift. What's the update and what are the sticking points?
I mean, the update is that reports are saying King Charles is cautious and wary of Prince Harry's attempts to reconcile. Now, I don't blame the king. I mean, that's a nice way of putting it for the hell that man has been put through by Harry and Meghan. I mean, obviously, Harry has invited the king to the 2027 Invictus Games, but the monarch still really does remain skeptical of his motives, and I can only imagine why. I mean, this comes on the week that Netflix has cancelled their massive $100 million deal. And I just think that the money is drying up for Harry and he's coming back cup in hand to the king and wanting reconciliation. And as Dickie Arbiter said, who was the former press secretary of Queen Elizabeth II, he said Harry needs to actually apologize before he can even think of reconciling with the king. And that's what's missing here, an apology. And I don't think that Harry, with his victim complex, is going to come out with one anytime soon.
Well, you think that would be the first port of call, and on that, Louise, like Samara said, there is news this week that it looks like the Sussexes Netflix deal is not going to be renewed. So what do we know in and around that? Is that actually confirmed? Are you surprised? But again, the way that feeds back into Harry's relationship with the royal family on the other side of the pond.
Well, that's right. So, yes, by September, that $100 million deal is no more. It will expire. It will not be renewed. And it's no surprise because the value of Meghan and Harry is their proximity to the royal family. And once they'd exhausted that tell-all whinge fest, the global whinge fest they were on, their value plummeted. Although I think Netflix obviously played their cards well by getting to do that original series, which broke all streaming records, the most successful streaming docu-series of all time, apparently. But they were foolish to allow the two of them to then do their own series, which of course has not really played out well, of course, particularly Harry's Polo series, which I believe saw viewing figures of about 500,000 people, which is absolutely appalling. Now, if they want to do more TV production, they'll have to do it away from Netflix. They'll have to find their own production house, which will be very expensive. But Netflix, again, have been very canny here because they've agreed to a first look deal, which I believe means if Harry and Meghan do actually produce something else worth watching, they'll get first dibs on it.
Yeah, fair enough. Samara, have you got anything you'd like to add to that?
It's not likely that Harry and Meghan will produce anything worth a look in. I mean, the disastrous numbers for the viewing figures of their shows that weren't about them whinging about their victim story and how badly the royal family treated them, which a lot of that has come out just simply wasn't even true. I don't think there's a future here. And I think the one issue that Harry and Meghan are going to have in the nearby future is money. I think that their lifestyle is extremely, extremely expensive. And with these deals very quickly drying up, I don't know. There's not that many pots of jam you can sell to fund that lifestyle.
No, that's a very, very good point. And Samara, still with you. And I actually really love our next story. I love the way we get to occasionally peek into royal history. And we all recall that footage of the royal family farewelling the royal yacht Britannia. But we understand that they lobbied the government for a replacement yacht. What was the story here?
Yeah, this was really interesting, actually. So it's newly released files from the National Archives. They revealed that in 1993, Buckingham Palace really quietly lobbied Prime Minister John Major's administration to support the £50 million replacement for the royal yacht Britannia. Now, we know that this was Queen Elizabeth II's favourite thing. She absolutely loved that boat, and it was really, really painful for her to have to say goodbye. And I think it actually contributed to her annus horribilis, which she termed one of the most horrible years, where three of her 4 kids were going through separate divorces at the time. Public support for the royal family was at an all-time low. Balmoral had a massive fire. And that kind of basically led to the government saying, well, we can't give you this £50 million in order to keep this ship. It just does not look good. So it was quite interesting to hear that some senior courtiers actually met with the Prime Minister and tried to put the Queen's kind of sentiment across. But yeah, I mean, I think it is sad. I think that it was really this sort of floating diplomatic ship, and a lot of amazing things actually happened because of events that were held there and different conferences. So it's always nice to hold that in review. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting that we're getting this information just now.
Yeah, it is. I always do find it incredibly interesting when, you know, it's obviously been such a long time. It's been more than 30 years. And then all of a sudden this sort of information comes out, gives us a nice nostalgic look back. But something that's happening now, and Prince George celebrated his 12th birthday this week. Here's a video released by the Palace. Now, Louise, he's obviously grown up really quickly, still a kid, obviously. But what have you noticed about the recent kind of positioning or done by the Palace insofar as Prince George is concerned? And how do you see that developing?
What I've really noticed in the last 12 months, Caro, is succession management at play. It's not PR, it's really preparing him for life as king. And although he is only 12, they have to be very careful around his exposure and obviously his own energy levels and his priorities to really sort of capture and retain some of his childhood as well, and time with his siblings and his mum and dad and his family. So there's been a lot of events where we've seen George step up and be a bit more visible. So obviously we had Wimbledon recently, we had Tripping the Colour, and he's also been going to VE events to meet veterans with his father. So very sort of strategically and gently and respectfully sort of, you know, preparing him for life as the monarch, you know, eventually himself. So I think, and you see him in action, and he's such a noble and well-respected and very sort of respectful individual himself. So I don't, although Prince Louis, of course, can be a bit crazy and pull faces, that's not something that his older brother can do. I mean, there's many other things down the line for him now, given that he's turned 12. Technically, he's not supposed to fly anywhere with his father. That's in order to protect the line of succession. They don't have two future monarchs in the same aircraft, of course. And the next thing I believe too is choosing his senior school, and my money's on Eton, where his father and of course his uncle went, which is, you know, the school that royalty and captains of industry send their sons to.
Yeah, and I just think it is so interesting how many more of those sorts of functions he is doing. And you're absolutely right. There's a real gentleness about him, a real gentleness, and I think that's definitely a product of his upbringing. And Samara, Princess Anne's 75th birthday is coming up. She's not going anywhere anytime soon, thank God, because we love her here on this show. There's going to be a special commemoration. What's the plan?
So it's very interesting. Obviously, as you said, Caroline, she doesn't like the pomp and ceremony of a big sort of birthday celebration. She's definitely not going anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, the Royal Mint has released a very special commemorative coin to honour her 75th birthday. This makes it the first time that she has been featured on an official UK coin. So that's very interesting. It's a £5 coin. It's nicknamed the Anniversary coin. I do love that pun. And it celebrates her decades of public service and dedication to the crown. And honestly, that woman with her 475 public engagements in just 1 year at that age, that's the least she deserves, in my opinion.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Now, Louise, I don't have very long left, but we spotted Zara and Mike here in Australia for the State of Origin a couple of weeks ago. Then they had a great break on Hamilton Island. Tell us about their break here in Australia.
So yes, they went to the State of Origin game, very low key as usual, because they're such a fabulous couple and they're very familiar to Australians. Every January, of course, they're at Magic Millions, that premier race event, and they mingle with the crowd there. It's fantastic. Zara's such a terrific ambassador for the sport. And they've been in Hamilton Island, which Mike was posting on his Instagram page, that despite their many, many visits to Australia, they never actually made it to this beautiful little part of Queensland. And he was raving about it as being a really sort of wonderful break and so great to be on Hamilton Island. It's their 14th wedding anniversary on Wednesday, so I think that was probably also part of the reason why they travelled to Australia. So great to see them here.
Always great to see them. Louise Roberts, Samara Gill, thank you so much for joining me.